Hey folks, I'm Tim the Tool Man. Welcome back to another episode of Car Show and Tell. Today we're back with our C4 project, our autocross car, as we're using it. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about the brakes that we put on and our new wheels and tires for this year's autocross. And something that was working on finding a solution for. Hadn't really thought of a solution from the beginning. I knew I wanted bigger brakes, but and I knew that that was going to have an adverse effect on wheels and tire fitment, wheel fitment really, and hadn't really knew I wanted them to fit under the stock wheels, right? Because I like the stock wheels, and I want to be able to put those back on and have the car have its factory 1987 appearance, right? I don't want anybody to know. I want it to look as it did from back then, you know, without the only way anybody would notice it is if they got close enough to peek in to the wheel vents, and then they'd see, oh, you know, and even then, maybe they wouldn't know, who knows. But anyway, that presented several challenges. One of those challenges being the spare tire, right? I knew I could get them to fit behind the factory tires, the factory wheels and tires, but I knew that there was no way that I was going to get them to fit behind that factory. It's an aluminum spare wheel, but it's made out of sheet aluminum. And I knew that that wasn't going to happen, so I was going to have to find a different solution for that. And so this is what we've come up with. This is when you pan.
Oh, sorry.
This is the spare wheel and tire from I didn't look at the year. It was a wrecked GTO, a newer GTO. And it was wrecked, and we took the wheel and the spare wheel and tire out of it. And spare's still new. Well, I say still new. It's the original spare for the car. So we see it was produced in 2003 by the last 4 digits of the dot number, the 48th week of 2003. And it's not been used. It still has the stripes on the rubber. So I'm guessing it's been in the trunk of that car the entire time. I don't see any dry rot, and while I generally don't feel comfortable using tires that are that old, knowing that it's been out of the UV light, because the UV is what does the most damage to rubber, and knowing that it's been kept out of UV light for so long, it's probably still fine. Anyhow, this is really what we were after, was this wheel. This is a 17x4 aluminum wheel, and the shape of these spokes is really what
Should I get the camera up in there?
What we needed to clear our caliper, knowing that we're going to have plenty of clearance between here and there. And I can't even get a finger in between there, but there's still a good 1/4 of an inch or so between the front of the caliper and the spoke of our wheel, and even more this way. So we're good. Yeah, gets a little tighter there. So if you followed along and you've watched our brake conversion, and you've been wondering the same thing, what am I going to do about a spare wheel and tire, you know, if I ever should get a flat, you need to find one of these. Now, there was one modification that we had to make to this, and that's the hub bore of this wheel. The GTOs have a smaller hub bore, and this is a hub-centric wheel. Okay, so we had to machine the hub, the center of our hub bore, out to the 75.1, I think it's 75.1, I don't remember. I'll have to look again. I'll leave it in the description. But we had to machine this out to a larger center bore to fit the hub of the Corvette. Other than that, that's really the only change we had to make. And I think the GTO is a slightly different 5 by 120 millimeter on the GTO, and not necessarily 5 by 4 3/4, but it's only a fraction of a millimeter difference. So the wheel lugs, the lug nuts, they go on and off just fine. And it is what it is. There you have it. So that's what we're going to use. We're going to throw that in the spare tire and wheel tray in the back of this thing and carry that along wherever we go, just in case we need it. And that brings us to our new wheels and tires for our autocross season this year. Previously I used the stock wheels for autocross and a set of BF Goodrich tires, but they're not making those anymore. Can't get the BF Goodrich tires, and that was the only tire that was a stock size, fit the wheel, and was over the 200 tread wear or 200 UTQG rating as required by the class rules for the SCCA autocross that I'm in. That makes sense. Okay? Cars are separated into different classes when you're on autocross, and different classes have to don't necessarily have the same rules as far as tires go, but the one that I'm in, I have to have at least a 200 UTQG tire on the car. And the only other tire that I can find that fits the stock wheels, and they sell in the stock size, is only rated at 100 UTQG. So that won't do. So it was time to find some different wheels and some different tires. And if any of you follow autocross, you know that there are a lot of entries into this, what they're calling the 200 UTQG class, or 200 treadwear class. But the big three are the Bridgestone Potenza RE71RS, the Yokohama Advan AO52, and the newest is the Nankang Sportnex CR-S. But those are like the three big heavy hitters for the 200 UTQG class. When I say heavy hitters, I mean the three that are three well-known best performing tires in that class or category. There's a lot of other 200 treadwear tires that are also good performers, but they don't quite have that ragged edge, I guess. They're not quite on the ragged edge of that class of performance. They're good, but they're not quite as good as those big three. So, with that in mind, I knew I would, if I'm going to switch tires, I'm going to go to one of those big three. I'm going to go to a bigger size tire. I got to go to a bigger sized wheel. And I wanted to find something I'd be happy with, fit the car well, didn't rub. So, here's what we've come up with over here. Turn it around. Okay. So these wheels are, as you can tell, from ESR, and they're not their forged wheels or whatever. They're their bargain basement cast wheels. I know a lot of people can kind of rag on ESR, and I don't know. It is what it is. I've owned a lot of cheap sets of wheels, like these kind. Cheap cast wheels, and I've not ever broken a single one. I've owned expensive three-piece wheels, and I have broken them. So it is what it is. Maybe I've just gotten lucky, but my my way of rationalizing this is if I'm going to beat the hell out of something, I might as well make it cheap and rugged. So why spend more money on it than I have to if I'm just going to beat the living hell out of it? So it is what it is. These were really reasonably priced wheels for their size. You gonna come back down here? This is an 18 by 10.5 inch wide wheel. They are, the only thing I don't like about them is they are re-drills. You can tell that they took a 4.5, a 5 by 4.5, and they re-drilled it to a 5 by 4 3/4 and stuck inserts in. So that's kind of that's the only real thumbs down, and I could have called them ahead of time, but these were on sale at the end of last year, and I think they still might even be on sale as of now, as of the making of this video. They were half price, 18 by 10.5 inch wide. I can't remember the offset. I don't remember the offset I ordered. Somewhere around 35 millimeters, I think. 33 to 35, somewhere around there. So good fitment for this car, and the wheels in this finish shipped to my door was $700 and change, which really, you can't beat that. That's really a reasonable price for a square fitment, 4 wheels the same size that are that wide, that big around, with an optional finish. I couldn't beat the price. So I mean, I could have gotten some slightly less, or slightly more expensive yet slightly less heavy wheels, but the pounds per wheel, I mean, 2 pound difference, a 2 pound difference, and I would have paid a few $1,000s. So really, what's the point? I'll take the weight penalty. I'm already giving up the weight penalty on the rear brakes that we did. So what's another couple pounds? Not too worried about it. And then we shod all 4 tires with the Bridgestone Potenza RE71 RS. Okay. And these are in a 295 3018 in the front, and in the rear I went with a slightly wider sidewall, a 295 3518 in the rear. They fit well, they give the car a good look, and we'll see how they perform. Our first autocross is next weekend, so about to see how they do. So we'll put these back on the car, and we'll give you guys a couple of shots of the car with the new wheels on. Alrighty, be back in a minute. Okay, well, we decided to do this first. Just wanted to make you a small comparison of the factory spare tire with this new spare tire. You could see the construction of this spare wheel was just rolled sheet aluminum, sort of in the same shape and manner as a regular steel wheel was, whereas this is a cast aluminum wheel. Anywho, this actually isn't the original spare tire size for the car because they don't make that anymore. When I bought the car, I wanted a fresh spare under it, and I believe the factory size was a 155 80 or 85 16, and I went looking for that size, and it's not something that they produce any longer, so couldn't find a new spare tire in that size, so I settled for one in this size, which is slightly smaller, and it's 25 inches in diameter. And we just measured this tire in comparison, and it is 25.5 inches in diameter, so probably actually closer to the overall diameter of the original spare tire than that would be. So we've got the spare tire bin or tray lowered here, and we'll just set the camera up and show you that this will in fact slide up in there and fit without much of an issue. And we've got the, oh, come on. Already cleaned out all of the, taken a brush and swept all the dust and gravel out of that spare tire tray. So here's what we're gonna do. We got, thank you, our original jack. Give me that towel. Grab that towel and lay it down here. I don't want to scratch this up. Lay it down on the asphalt there. Thank you. Here's our original jack and the clip that holds it. We're just going to see if we can't. How would that work? I can get it off. I can't remember how it went on. Like this. Was it sideways? It must have been sideways. Oh. No. This is embarrassing when you got dogs barking. Yeah. I'm still trying to shoot. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Well, you know what? This is thicker.
Well, how's it go?
This is thicker. It hooks in through one of the lug stud, the lug holes, but this is a thicker material, so that ain't gonna work. Unless I spin it, maybe.
That's some pliers, maybe? Oh.
Actually, there we go.
Just trying to see if I can have it maybe.
Hey, instead of laughing, let's try helping. Come on.
I think that'll be it. I think that'll be fine. Hey, you know that's fine. That's fine right there where it is.
Okay.
And then we can just flip the whole thing upside down and let it fall out.
Wow. It goes in like this. Okay. You want to put a little anti-seize on that bolt?
Yeah.
Come on. There we go. Ooh. Ah. I swear it fits. Okay. Any day now. Okay.
Here's a.
Go ahead, get me the. And there we have it. Nice and snug. Right in the factory spare tire holder. And now I don't have to worry about getting caught out without a spare. And somehow, even though I didn't touch the anti-seize, I still managed to get it all over my arms.
I didn't really know how much was too much, but it was probably that.
No, you can fly.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna pause this. We'll go for a little ride. Give you a shot of the car with the new wheels and tires. Okay. There we go. Nice sunshine shot. Really, you mother. Well, that about wraps it up for this one, folks. I'm pleased with the way it looks, with the way it rides. And I do have an appointment coming up this week with the car to have the alignment specs changed for a more aggressive autocross type alignment on the car. So I'm thinking between an extra 40 millimeters of rubber at every corner, the more aggressive alignment specs. Hopefully I'll see some improvements this year. Will it be competitive? Not a chance. Not against the other cars that I'm running. But it was a whole lot of fun last year. And I think it'll be a whole lot more fun this year. So I got that to look forward to. Alright, well, we got some more videos coming up pretty soon. And we got another project to introduce. So that's it for now. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.